Okay, it's 10 o'clock, so I'd like to call the Alberni Valley and Bamfield Services Committee meeting to order. First of all, I'd like to do a recognition of territories. I'd like to acknowledge that we're conducting this meeting in the unceded additional territories of the Shoshaw and Huipachesset First Nations, and we're grateful for the opportunity to do so. We also have some directors calling in from other territories, and I'd like to also acknowledge those nations and express our gratitude and our respect. Notice to attendees and delegates that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed to YouTube or on the Regional District website. So first on the agenda is we'll do introductions and we'll go around the room and then we'll go on to the directors that are calling in online. My name is Debbie Haggard and I am a counselor for the City of Port Alberni, Vice Chair for the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors and Chair of this committee. I'll go to Cynthia next.
Good morning, Cynthia Dick, General Manager of Administrative Services.
Good morning. Good morning, Heather Zenner, Manager of Administrative Services.
Good morning, I'm Mike Sparrow and I'm Regional Director for Cherry Creek.
Good morning, Susan Roth, Director for Beaver Creek.
Good morning, I'm Daniel Tayan, the CAO for the ACRD.
Penny, please go ahead if you're ready.
Thank you. Sorry for my lateness. Penny Cody, Alberni-Clayoquot, Regional Director for Sprout Lake.
Thank you. Director Beckett.
Good morning, everyone. Beautiful day today. Bob Beckett representing Area A, Bamfield.
Thank you, Director Minions.
Good morning, everyone. Shari Minions, City of Port Alberni.
Thank you, Director Boyko. We're having trouble hearing you. It's very garbled.
Call for director. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have an agenda in front of us. Is there any additions from directors? Is there any additions from the corporate officer?
No additions.
Thank you. Seeing no additions, could I get an approval of the agenda as presented? Moved by Director Sparrow, second by Director Roth. All in favor? Any opposed? The motion is carried. Any declarations or conflict of interest? Seeing none, there is no presentations, there are no delegations. Next is adoption of minutes. We have the minutes from our Alberni Valley and Bamfield Services Committee meeting held on February 19th, 2026. Is there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, I'm going to motion to that the minutes of the Alberni Valley and Bamfield Services Committee meeting held on February 19th, 2026 be adopted. Moved by Director Ross, second by Director Sparrow. All in favor? None opposed. Motion was carried. Public input period. There is no one in the gallery. Is anyone online?
No one online.
Thank you. No correspondence for information, no correspondence for action. So next is 2026 granting aid applications for the Alberni Valley and Bamfield category. This is our most favorite day of the year, is doing the grants and aid. So please go ahead, Heather.
Thank you. Okay, so today is the start of the 2026 grant and aid process. So this being the Alberni Valley and Bamfield category, we'll only be reviewing applications that have been received for that category today. The grants and aids for the regional category will be brought to the CAL meeting, and then West Coast applications will be brought to the West Coast Committee in the next couple of weeks. So this year for AV&B, we received 15 grant and aid applications requesting $209,000. And I'll remind you that the approved budget for the Alberni Valley grant and aid category is $120,360. So that's the budget that you need to work within today. If you request any more information on any of the grant and aids received, I can reach out to the applicants and request further information and bring that back to the CAL meeting. So I'll leave it up to the committee to decide how you wish to discuss each of the grant and aid applications. I've got a spreadsheet on my computer, so as you make resolutions in support of grant and aid applications, I'll keep track of the funding and let you know when you're running out of money. And then as a reminder, the final recommendations will be brought to the Board of Directors meeting on May 27th. So I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you, Heather. That was great information. We've got some good applications today and some difficult decisions to make. At the will of the committee, I was thinking to go through one by one for discussion, but not make any resolutions until the end because you might have to go back and make changes because the Chamber of Commerce is at the end and we want to make sure that we're able to hopefully support that organization as well. So we don't want to run out of money until we get to the very end. So if that's the will of the committee, I'm also open to any other suggestions how you might like to proceed. Seeing none, that's how we'll proceed. The first one is the Gyra Park Tennis Court conversion and upgrade. And they are asking for 40,000. Yes, 40,000. Who would like to open up the discussion? Director Roth and Director Sparrow.
So is this PA Picklers? Is that?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I went through all of them. I did it differently. I went through all of them, took the 120,360. And given that it's limited funds, I gave priority to essential safety and victim support services and then direct community service delivery. So I don't really know. I mean, I put $15,000 towards PA Picklers.
Thank you, Director Sparrow.
Thank you. I went through it too and looked at, I guess, the needs and the ability to pay. And I know the pickleball is a big dynamic group right now, and they're very, very vocal on what they want to do. But most of the people in the PA Picklers are old enough to be able to support their own funding. And I think part of the grant needs we go through, we'll find a lot of places here do not have adequate funding and need funding. And I think PA Picklers is one that can support itself and can raise its dues. I know it has gone through a lot of struggles, but I don't think it's on the top of my priority list putting money towards it this time. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Sparrow. Director Boyko.
I kind of echo what Director Sparrow just said. So in the Beaufort area, we have the Beaver Creek Hall. We have pickleball there. We have pickleball. It's open for everybody. It's self-funded. And we're not interested in helping out what's happening in the city for the pickleball. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments regarding the PA Picklers request? Director Cote?
Thank you. Pickleball is one of those sports that up and coming. It's all over the place. It's not just seniors or adults that are playing, it's youth as well. I support anything that's getting kids involved in sports and activity. I agree with Director Roth. I think we should put the $40,000 is a big ask. I think too much, but I wouldn't mind considering 15,000 going forward to this.
Okay, so how about if we put $15,000 in the spreadsheet and we can come back? That works for everyone because we can always change it. Oh, Director Beckett, please go ahead.
Thank you. Just help me with the process a little bit, because I do think $15,000 is a little bit too generous given some of the discussions and dialogue we've already had. Director Cote has suggested $15,000, and I was more inclined to think, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. So how do we have that conversation and arrive at something that we can park? Anyway, so I guess I'm just looking for some thoughts on our process here.
Okay, what I'd like to do is go through each one and have the discussion, and then because I don't want to do any resolutions till we come to the end, to make sure that we have something to give to everyone a little bit, hopefully, if that works. So what I'll ask Heather to do is maybe put 5 to 15 in her spreadsheet. This is going to be a difficult one. We could come back to it as well. I think we'll have to see how it goes through and then see what the total is at the end. Does that make sense, Director Beckett?
I'm very happy with that. Thank you.
Okay. Director Roth.
I'm curious to know the original documentation, like where it says GIA 1 to 15, was that the order that the applications were received?
Yes, I'm pretty sure that's the order that they were received. The application was open until Thursday at midnight, so we were just continuously adding to this document.
Yeah. Because I'm actually having a problem with this making up a list and deciding at the end. Thanks.
Would you like to suggest a better way?
One by one, as we go.
Well, that's what I want to do. I want to discuss each one by one, but not make any resolutions till we get to the end and have a total.
Well, I actually would prefer to make a decision after each one, but that's okay. It's whatever the will of the group here.
It's just because there's so much, the ask is so much more than what we have to give. So if you give to like the first three, we could be on a money, for example. So I think it's just important to go through and have that discussion, but I'm willing to do whatever the committee members want to do.
Just might I add that, like, I went through it knowing we only had $120,360 myself and divvied it up. And I don't know if everyone else did it that way, but thanks.
Director Minions?
Thank you. Just wanted to briefly speak to process. I think what I'm hearing from you, Chair Haggard, is that we don't want to make any decisions, like formal decisions, early in the process, and I agree with that for sure. I think it is helpful, though, if on each item we could almost come to consensus. And maybe on some items, it's easy to come to a consensus of a pretty firm amount. And on some, it might be a broad range. I heard you say 5,000 to 15,000 for PA picklers, but just noting that Director Beckett said 2, 3, 4,000. I think this is one that potentially will require a lot more discussion and maybe a decision at the end of the final list to see how much we give. But I'm a little hesitant to rush through without almost like narrowing in as a group on what that range that we're comfortable with is going to be. And on this one specifically, I certainly support the initiative, and I know that they're working really hard to find a variety of sources of funding. I want to make sure that the group has a good understanding of if we give this money and it's not enough, what are we actually getting for that, if anything? So, if we're going to give $15,000, but they're nowhere near the actual amount of funding that they need, then we may be giving $15,000 to an initiative that actually leads to nothing in our community because they don't raise the remainder of the funds. So I know this meeting is always challenging and there's no easy way to do it. But I think there will be some that we have consensus on. And so if we're going along and there's a firm number that we can kind of agree on, then I think we should do that in the process. It doesn't have to mean that we make a motion and it's final, but otherwise I think we're going to get to the end and we're going to have a range on all of them, and we're going to maybe end up making less intentional decisions that way. So on this one, I think even if we don't park it with any number at all, I'd love to make sure we come back to it and really understand what we're getting if we don't give that full 40,000. And I certainly am not in support of giving the full 40,000, or I think unfortunately just with the requests we have, even near the 15,000 is quite a bit too much from my perspective. Although I really want to see this initiative move forward, I don't think that we have enough budget for it right now. Thanks.
Yeah, good thoughts. Okay, so we have $15,000. We have 0 from Director Spare. We have 2, 3, 4 from Director Beckett. Director Froth, please go ahead.
I just wanted to note that the policy is if the money that we do give isn't used for the purpose, then it needs to be given back, and that's part of the policy. Thanks.
Can you just confirm that, Heather?
That is correct.
Okay, so would the board or would the committee like to narrow down this number a little bit? We do have a wide range here. From 0 to 15. Director Cote.
So yes, I would say that we should put it 0 to 15. That way then it's open at the end for whatever we decide. This is pickleball is not a priority, but it's one of those wants for the community, and I think it's a good a good investment if we have the money. Thanks.
Dr. Beckett.
Well, just again, I'm going to go back and I'm going to say that I would support $4,000 for the process for further discussion. 4,000 is my kind of upper limit. Thank you.
Any other comments? So what is the will of the committee? Or Dr. Sparrow, you have your hand up?
Thank you. So we're going to put a number in the sand, are we, for later on, then move on? It might come back and readjust this because if you look, we have what, twice as many asks for the money we have. And we have to figure out what our social conscience is here. And that's what we're doing right now. I understand pickleballs are a growing community thing. That's great. But are we going to have more social conscience as we move forward? Are we going to have more will of recreation? Which way are we going to go?
So what is the will of the committee members? Put 0 to 15 and come back to this, or more discussion, or see what happens at the end? What is the will of the committee members? Dr. Roth?
Why don't we take an average, 7,500, and stick it in there, and then we have middle ground.
Is that acceptable? Put in 7,500 and come back to it, Dr. Beckett.
Thank you. I'm happy with $7,500. I would like to just comment on Director Sparrow's comments. It's a great point with respect to social conscience. But I did want to say, Mike, that I do think sports is extremely important, and with respect to one's overall health and mental well-being. So I actually see it as potentially one of those social conscience issues. And again, that's just my opinion. And thank you for sharing your thoughts, sir.
Thank you. So is the committee okay putting down 7,500 and then we'll come back to it at the end? Put a question mark because we're still kind of up in the air on this one. Okay, next is Alberni Valley Food Security Society, and they're wanting to improve food security access across the Alberni Valley by increasing access to nutrition, locally sourced food while reducing waste. And they are asking for 7,800. Dr. Roth.
In my list, I would like them to get the full amount, the 7,800. Thank you.
Any other comments for discussion? Dr. Sparrow, you agree with the full amount?
I do, and there's a number of reasons. First, the gleaning project does do a lot of good, taking all the vegetables off the trees, and other people can't have or don't want to climb for it. But also, with what we're having in the world right nowadays, with food prices going to accelerate and a lot, it makes more sense for people to be able to get their food off their trees and give it to somebody else that really in need. So this is one of the social conscious ones I was talking about. So yes, I'm okay with that.
Thank you. Any other comments? I feel like we're all kind of in agreement on this one. Fantastic. So the full amount for that, Heather, $7,800. The next is West Coast Community Learning Hub, $5,000. Now, this is a new organization, I believe. I'm not really familiar with it. One question I had, I don't know if any of the community members know, but is Alberni Literacy still active? Because they're not active any longer? Okay. Does anybody have any? Director Roth?
I looked at this, and because it's new, I was thinking 2,500.
Any other comments from the committee members? Seeing none, we'll put down $2,500. Next on the agenda is Port Alberni Backpack Program Society, and I think this is a very well utilized, unfortunately, and necessary service that is provided to young people in our community, and they're asking for $7,500, which is what they received for the last couple of years. Is there any comments on this one, Director Roth?
I would like them to receive the full amount. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments, Director Sparrow?
Yeah, I will back that up too.
Okay, I'm seeing some agreement on this one, $7,500 for the Port Alberni Backpack Program Society. Next is Canadian Council of the Blind, and they're asking for $3,000, and that's what they received last year as well. Oh, thank you. That's so much easier. I was thinking I should have printed one off. Okay. Any comments on the ask for the Canadian Council of the Blind? Director Sparrow.
I was reading through this one and I was kind of interested, and they want $700 for taxi vouchers because they're saying, well, HandyDart provides some services, gaps remain. Ongoing taxi vouchers ensure reliable, independent access to programs and personal appointments. I know HandyDart is contentious here. We now have it 7 days a week, and we have one area that doesn't put into HandyDart. So I'm wondering if we give them this money, if that money is going to be used to support taxis in areas that do not support HandyDart. So it's kind of giving back to an area that doesn't support our HandyDart program. And I was wondering what people thought about that, because I'm not in favor of us undermining our own programs by giving people vouchers to get around our program. Thank you.
Any other comments? Director Roth.
I put $1,500 in the Canadian Council for the Blind, and it's nothing to do with them specifically. It's just adjusting the numbers to make them work. Thank you.
Any other comments from committee members? Okay, so we only have the one amount, $1,500, so we'll put that down for now. Port Alberni Victim Services Society, they're asking for $36,000, and last year they requested, they received $26,000. Director Roth.
Sorry. More now than ever before. I think we should be giving the full amount. It's a really good program, and we need it. Thank you.
Any other questions from committee members? Director Cote.
Thank you. We keep struggling with this one every year. And I'm thinking that maybe this is one of those areas where it shouldn't be a grant and aid, because we've been doing it a grant and aid ever since the day that I was first elected. So when you repeat things over and over again, maybe they should become something that we automatically include in our budget rather than doing the grant and aid. Thanks.
Thank you. I actually agree with that. That's something we're going to have to look at. Any other comments from the committee members? So the only number that we have suggested is the full amount of $36,000. Dr. Cote?
So last year we gave 26,000.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe that every year they ask for more than what we actually award them.
They always have.
Yeah, they always have. I
So
don't think we've ever given the full amount.
This is a provincially subsidized, I guess, supported program. We have brought resolutions forward to UBCM, as many other communities have, requesting up funding for this. So I would also ask that we make a plan to at UBCM to talk to staff or the minister asking for increased funding that it's not adequate. Thanks.
I think that's a great suggestion. Cynthia, can you make a mental note of that when it's time? Thank you. So are you in favor of the full amount for now? Okay, so $36,000 for this one, Heather. West Coast Aquatic, they're asking for $10,000. Any comments, Director Roth?
I put down $5,000 for West Coast Aquatic just because I was sticking to, putting essential safety first, victim support services, and then followed by direct community service delivery. So they didn't fit in the full category. They fit in the next one. Thank you.
Director Cote, then Director Sparrow.
Thank you. I'd like to see us give the full amount, just because, the work that they do is, immeasurable. The data that's provided, the resource for, the community at large, information coming forward. They deal with a lot of issues. The meeting that I was at right before I came here was with the salmon fish flow, which is under the umbrella of the West Coast Aquatic. And it's great information. It's looking at climate change and how we're able to deal with it. It all relates to salmon and fish conservation, I guess, water conservation. So I would like to see the full 10,000. Thank you.
Now, looking at the project information, they're requesting $10,000 to do a 6-minute documentary style film. So is that something that we want to support? I think, again, I think it's a great organization. I don't disagree with what they're saying, but do we want to support them doing a film? Director Sparrow?
That's where I was going with it. I mean, we have supported over the last, well, and that's a good organization, but this year they want to create a 6-minute documentary style film, our 25-year collaboration fisheries management success story. So the way I'm reading this, we're going to pay 10 grand towards making a 6-minute documentary. It's not going towards what we thought it was going towards. But if that's, and then the grant and aid money has to go to what they say it's going to go to. So if you read further down, it's production shoot, post-production and pre-production is where it is. So it actually is a documentary film, and I don't understand how it's all going to fit together. That's why I'm scratching my head on this one. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I think it's, again, I said, like, it's a great organization, does good work, but do you want to support the making of a film when there's so much need? So we have Director Koke that wants the full amount. Director Sparrow's kind of going, maybe not. Any other comments? We need a little bit more direction here. What did you have in your spreadsheet, Director Roth?
5,000. Yeah. It was half the ask.
I'm actually in agreement with Director Sparrow. I'm not really in support of this one at all for the purpose that they're asking. Director Minions?
Thank you. I'm not in support of it for the purpose this year. I think they're a great organization, but yeah, it just doesn't make sense with the other need.
Okay, so we have 3 people that don't want to support it. And Director Cote, any other thoughts?
There's a lot of asks, and if the support isn't on with this, then I'm good to go with it.
Okay, is everyone fine with not supporting this one at this time? Okay, so we'll put down 0 and we can always come back. Next is the West Coast Native Healthcare Society. They're requesting $10,000. Any comments from the committee members? Director?
I put in $6,250 for this ask, just based on what it is. It's a great thing to support. Thank you.
And are you part of this group, Director Cote? Can
I
you
am.
shed some light on it?
I am. I think that it's wonderful. There's a lot of people that live in this complex care, and it would be great to support the people that live there. There's full care right to low-cost housing. They're building more housing. It's good for the whole community up there to have gardens and using natural plants. That's what they're using. So they've talked about this therapeutic gardening. So I absolutely support this.
I'm sorry, Director Roth, what was the amount that you said?
$6,250.
Okay, we have $5,250 up to $10,000. Pardon me?
$6,250.
Oh, I'm sorry, 62. 6250 up to $10,000. Director Roth and Director Sparrow.
I wouldn't mind increasing it to the full amount too.
Director Sparrow.
So this is for the Rainbow Gardens, right? So we'll probably get other ones from other long-term care facilities, but looking at this, it's a one-page document. There's no other spreadsheets behind it to give us more information. This is one page saying they're going to use it for assisted living and long-term care, prioritizing the placement and care of First Nation elders, creating a sense of community to campus of care. I don't understand the clarity yet, but I know they're building more, but it's kind of short on details on this one.
Yeah, the only information they really put on their application was they want to do transform an outdoor patio space at the long-term care home. So I'm in support of giving them some, but I don't know if I'm supportive giving them all. Any other thoughts from committee members? What are your thoughts, Director Sparrow, about the amount?
I'm just worried about the documentation and there's no spreadsheet. Well, that shuts me up. So somebody wants to change my ideas, do they? Is that fire alarm?
No, no, we're good.
We're good. Okay. I'm looking for the spreadsheet breakdown of what they're going to use it for and how it's going to be used, and there's nothing. That's what I'm kind of confused about. They just said they have an idea. And then when we get to the end, we'll probably run out of money anyway. I have to come back and rethink it, but I just don't see what's
There's some details on page 80 under the budget.
page 80. Okay,
Dr. Cote?
thank you.
I was just gonna say, I see the breakdown, for sail shades, mounting the garden beds, the drought resistant indigenous plants, upgrade for mobility, aid safety, ergonomic outdoor seating. So, I think it'll make a lovely area to benefit, seniors, elders in long-term care, community at large, and I think that it's a wonderful addition to the community. And I think it'd be great benefit if you're, I've had a family member that lived at Rainbow Gardens, and having an area like this to go to would be such mental health boost for the residents and for families that come to visit and for the neighbors. That would be great. Thank you.
Okay, so we have two committee members that are recommending the full amount of $10,000. And is there any other comments from the committee members? Okay, we'll put down $10,000. Big Brothers Big Sisters of Central Vancouver Island, they're asking for $7,500. Now I know Big Brothers and Big Sisters used to be in Port Alberni, but they're no longer, haven't been here for a few years. And I'm reading into this, they're trying to come back into Port Alberni. Does anybody have any other information or can set any light on this application? Director Roth?
I put the full amount mostly because they're such a great organization, and Central Vancouver Island does cover this area. Thank you.
Any other comments from committee members? Director Cote?
Thank you. I understand, like, I believe in Big Brothers and Big Sisters, but I don't know that it's coming from someone from the valley asking for this. So it looks like it's funding to go to Nanaimo. I don't know, like, have they found someone to run a program here? Sending someone from Nanaimo to do it, I think that not the best recommendation, I guess, from them. It would be nice if there was a request from the Alberni Valley rather than from Nanaimo. Thanks.
Thank you. I support what they're trying to ask for. Yeah, I think from reading this, they're going to be sending somebody. There's probably people in Port Alberni that could actually do this without paying for transportation. Dr. Beckett.
Yeah, you're absolutely right that the Big Brothers Big Sisters is an amazing organization, and I don't mind if it's being run from Nanaimo, but I'm looking for assurances that whatever we agree on a donation, should we agree on donation, that it's based on actual volunteer boots on the ground in the Alberni Valley area.
Thank you. So any recommendations? You recommended the full amount. I'm not actually in favor of that. Any other comments? Dr. Sparrow?
Put it on zero for now and come back to it later and see what numbers we have at the end, because I think our numbers are getting closer to the end than we think they are already. Can I ask what we are right now?
Right now, we're at 47,560 remaining.
Dr. Beckett, you still have your hand up. Did you have another comment? Please go ahead.
I do. I would like to suggest $2,500 rather than zero, because I do believe that it's an amazing organization, and if we help get it started and return that service to our community, that'd be a wonderful thing.
Dr. Roth?
I would support that too.
Okay. So looks like we're all in agreement of seeing other comments for $2,500. Next is the Port Alberni Black Sheep Rugby Union Football Club, and they're requesting $10,035.20. Any comments? Dr. Roth?
I would like them to receive the full amount.
Any other comments from committee members? Please go ahead, Dr. Cote.
I know that they've applied in the past. How, did we give them any money last year?
They didn't, I don't think they applied last year. It's in the table on page 9. There's no funding from last year.
Sorry, I'm just trying to find their application form. This is a tough one. Director Beckett, then Director Boyko, then Director Roth.
Thank you. I know they do great work with their outreach program with youth. I have friends that play on the team, but I'm struggling with the amount, the 10,000 amount, when we've got the pickleball group, which there literally could be hundreds and hundreds of players of all age wanting to play pickleball. So how do we, when it comes to sports, how do we justify any kind of expenditure? And again, philosophically speaking, with respect to using taxpayers' dollar, I think we need to consider the numbers of people that we're potentially impacting, supporting, helping with respect to any donation that we make. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Beckett. Director Boyko?
Thank you, Chair. I agree it's a bit difficult because it's kind of
specialized situation that doesn't always help the entire community. And I think the dollar amount is quite high for what the potential benefit the community is. I'd be comfortable somewhere in the $2,000 to $3,000 range. Thank you.
Director Roth.
I'm okay with lowering it a bit. Like half.
Thank you, Director Cote.
Thank you. Page 136 is their budget. And they've got 25, 26 budget was only $1,000 for the youth rugby program. Actual was 3,421.56. So asking for over $10,000, I think, is a little bit much. I understand they want to, I guess, buy different things for the rugby balls for the schools, but when they only have down $1,000 for their youth program, I'm not sure that I really want to support the full amount. Maybe half would be acceptable. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm always in support of youth and sports, but I'm not in support of supporting adults in sports, if that makes sense. Director Roth.
I like it that this application is very specific, though. I mean, it says they want rugby balls for each school, pennies and bibs, each school, flags. I mean, it's like growing the sport, going right into the schools and helping kids learn. I like that.
So how much are you suggesting, Director Roth?
Between 5,000 and 7,000.
Okay, Director Beckett.
Thank you. Like Director Ross, rationale about getting into the schools, promoting it, I would support 5,000.
That was going to be my suggestion, Director Beckett, 5,000. I see some heads nodding, so put on 5,000 for this request. Port Alberni Salmon Festival Society, they're asking for $6,500, and last year we gave them 5,000. Any comments on this one, Director Roth?
I put the full amount, $6,500. Obviously, it's a great event, and I know last year that the organization was looking for more funding. They needed more, so I support this fully.
Director Cote, then Director Sparrow.
Thank you. I think that we're supporting local. I see that the picnic tables will be made at the makerspace, which after the tour we had, I think that it's a wonderful organization, and yeah, I support this. Thank you.
Director Sparrow.
Thank you. I was gonna say the same thing. They're taking the picnic tables from Makerspace, which they're doing upgrades right now, so we're actually compounding what we're doing here if we do this. And if I remember rightly, the Makerspace picnic tables are not one you're gonna walk off of very easily. It's a big ton.
Any other comments from committee members? So we have support for the full amount of $6,500, Heather. The next one is Spirit Square Farmers Market Association of $700. Any comments from committee members? Director Roth.
I put in the full amount. Thank you.
Any other comments? Director Sparrow?
The question I have, we have 3 farmers markets in town, don't we? Just gonna open the door for 2 more farmers market to come in and ask for different things. We're just gonna subsidize one of the 3.
Director Cote?
Thank you. We may end up getting requests in the future. I think that right now there's been a change in what can be sold at farmers markets. Any kind of producer that has meat, I believe, needs a freezer. It's really hard to justify that coming forward when it changes like that. So I support this.
My question is, who will have responsibility of transporting the freezers back and forth? Is it going to be whoever sells the freezer? Or is it going to be stored somewhere on site? Because I'm just afraid if it goes to a certain person, they might be able to keep it if they stop going to the farmer's market.
It's an organization and Sarah Reimer, if you want more information, I think we could invite her here to answer those questions. But attending the Agricultural Development Committee meetings, this topic came up. Yeah, for them to, for their local producers to be able to sell, they have to have a freezer. So I think there might be one person that's doing that already, but having this, because they're an organization, I'm not sure if they have space for where they put the tables and chairs, but I would ask Sarah.
Yeah, I'm not against the donation, but my concern is that somebody will have it, it could just be walked off unless they have a certain storage space. You're shaking your head, Director Roth?
Yeah, I've been to them before and it's pretty easy to take back and forth on a trailer, right? A freezer. And I mean, if it belongs to the organization, it belongs to the organization.
Yeah, but lots of times the organization has something and things walk off very easily. But yeah,
That could be said for anything, really.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm not disputing that, but I just want to make sure it stays with the organization. So we seem to have support for $700. ADAPS Youth and Family Services and they're asking for $10,500, and last year they received $12,284. Any comments, Director Roth?
I put in the full amount. I think this is one of the best organizations in Port Alberni. They do great work with youth, so I'd really like to support this. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Director Cote's got her thumbs up. Any other comments? Okay, so $10,500. Port Alberni Marine Rescue Society, they're asking for $5,000, and last year they received $12,820.50. Any comments from committee members? Director Roth.
I would like them to receive the full amount. They definitely fit in, an essential safety and support services, direct community service delivery. Thank you.
Director Cote?
Thank you. I'm just wondering why they've been taken away from the search and rescue, and they seem to be sort of lumped in past years with those. It was, I think, 4 organizations that we approved the same amount to go to each one of them. So I'm wondering why this is different than from the other search and rescues, the West Coast Search and Rescue, PA, Alberni Valley Search and Rescue.
Heather, please go ahead.
Thank you. The other search and rescue groups service the whole region, whereas the Marine Rescue services the Alberni Inlet, so the Alberni Valley and Bamfield, so it fits better in this category. So last year they were in this A, B, and B category. So we're just following suit from last year.
Can I ask then what we're donating, or are we not donating to the other search and rescues?
Well, that's up to the board. That'll be brought forward at the committee of the whole meeting in a couple of weeks' time under the regional grant and aid category.
Do we know what the amounts are
requested?
Yeah.
I can look that up. Just give me a second. So West Coast Inland Search and Rescue requested 6,000. And Alberni Valley Rescue Squad requested 20,160.
Director Roth?
Sorry, on their ask, the total amount that they need for insurance, fuel, and repairs and maintenance is 30,800, and they're only asking for 5,000 for the insurance. To me, that seems so reasonable.
Okay, everybody's in agreement for $5,000. Director Beckett, please go ahead.
Sorry, that's all I wanted to confirm, that I was certainly in support of 5,000 as well.
Thank you for that comment. Okay, so $5,000. Next one is the Alberni Valley Chamber of Commerce, and they're asking for $50,000. And last year we awarded them $30,900. Any comments from committee members? Director Sparrow, then Director Roth.
Yeah, I was just going to give you the total. So remaining funds is 17,360.
Okay, Director Sparrow, then Director Roth.
Thank you. I believe in last year they came here, they asked for the money. One of the reasons we bumped it up was because they got short funded, but I think ADTA is looking hopefully to try and take this over, but it's going to be a couple more years so they get their mission statement and their bylaws in place. So any money we give them would be helpful right now. But right now we're actually short funding the Chamber of Commerce, so they won't be here to greet visitors because they don't have the funding. So I don't know what to do, but we're running out of money.
Director Roth.
Thank you. The Chamber of Commerce is the only applicant requesting operating deficit support. Based on the Chamber's own audited financial statements, the organization is operating at a structural deficit, has lost major earned revenue at the visitor center, and is increasingly reliant on grants to sustain core operations. With the City of Port Alberni having already withdrawn operating support, I'm not convinced it's appropriate for the regional district to assume the role through the grant and aid. If other governments withdraw, do we automatically replace them? And is that the policy? Most grant and aid recipients receive support for a clearly defined public service. The Chamber request is for ongoing overhead, which is materially different and broader use. Approving this request effectively establishes the operating losses themselves qualify for grant and aid support. This isn't a question of the Chamber's value. It's about fairness and consistency. Most grant and aid recipients are funded for defined services, not to offset operating deficits. Approving this request would set a new precedent, one that fundamentally changes how grant and aids are used. We do not have enough money to fund everyone, so we need to be disciplined about what grant and aid is and is not for. At our last town hall meeting, that was for Beaver Creek and Beaufort, attendees were asked whether they support the Chamber of Commerce request for ACRD funding. This matter has also been the subject of recent news coverage. A show of hands was taken and not a single person present indicated support for the proposal. Those in attendance at the meeting included residents from Beaufort, Beaver Creek, Cherry Creek, and Sprout Lake. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see where it says deficit funding. They're looking for funding to operate the visitor info center. And one of the fundamental principles of an elected official is to come to a meeting with an open mind. And that vote was given to the town hall meeting before the Chamber of Commerce had an opportunity to come and present its case to the board members. And I wasn't at the meeting, but on the video that Director Boyko showed to the board that day, he simply said, do you want to give funding to the Chamber of Commerce? No. Nobody said anything. And then he asked again, does anyone here want to give money to the Chamber of Commerce? No, yes. And a few people that were there did say no, but there was no explanation given as to what the money was needed for, the pros and cons. So that's my comment to that. Did you want to respond?
I think it was in the news quite a lot, and people were getting their information from news reports. Thank you.
And the reason that the city did pull their funding was because we feel this is a regional operation that benefits everyone in the region, not just the city of Port Alberni.
It just doesn't fit the grant need criteria. And last year when we decided to give them funding, we said this was the last time and that they needed to find another way to do it. Thank you.
And they are working towards that through different avenues, but they need this year to continue operations. Director Boyko, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So
The video I showed was a short snippet just to see what was happening, but we did have a detailed discussion about the chamber finances and put them up on the screen so everyone could go through it. But the tourism center and the chamber are linked together. Now, this is the last year that the chamber has said they'll be looking after the tourism center. So when you go through the money, the money that funnels through the tourism center goes straight to the chamber. So the two are inexplicably linked at this point. What's going to happen next year is that there'll be no money for the tourism center because the chamber won't be doing it. So how are we going to look at doing this in the future? Is this the last year? Because we kind of said that last time that, hey, we need to structurally change how we're doing things. But on a fundamental level, the businesses should be looking after themselves through memberships to the chamber. Tourism should be looking after themselves. We already have a tourism levy that goes to a tourism organization. And why are we funding two separate tourism organizations now? Through the taxes that we collect either through Airbnbs and hotels and now through the taxpayers themselves. We need a deep conversation on how we're going to fund this that should be funded by the tourism organizations themselves, not multiple layers through the taxpayers, I think.
Yeah, the MRDT is not funded by the taxpayers. It's funded by business to the Alberni Valley. And as if you would have been at the last chamber meeting, or sorry, my apologies, at that board meeting where the Chamber of Commerce had presented, is they are working towards that through the Alberni Valley Tourism Society, but it does take time to get everything approved and get that funding. And they're also working towards having a referendum. So again, this is going to be a stopgap. I know we said last year was going to be the last year, but they are working towards getting additional funding. Any other comments, Director Sparrow?
I don't think we said last year was the last year. I think we said some people wanted last year to be the last year. They did mention that ADTA is trying to work towards that, but they need a new mandate, they need new bylaws, and that takes time. And that if they do that, then they'll get their funding, they won't need us. But in the meantime, we are the bridge between the two. And everybody knows once you stop something, starting it back up again is extremely difficult. So it's not that I really want to put money towards it, but I understand that the longer vision is if we do this, then they get back on their feet, they won't need our support in the meantime. And that's sort of part of the grant and aid is to get them through those areas they need to get through in order to be able to support themselves, I believe, is that's part of the mandate. So I know some people here don't want to support it. They think it's a tax that we should be brought somewhere else, but we're stuck in the middle, so we have to support them until they can put themselves back on their feet. Thank you.
And tourism is an industry that this community is trying to support and work towards as a viable industry for the community. And if the visitor info center isn't open, then I'm most likely, if most businesses try and make their money during the summer months when tourists visit our community. And I'm afraid if the info center closes, then you're going to see some businesses not do as well and maybe start closing. Director Beckett.
Thank you. I like Director Sparrow's narrative there. And I too would be inclined to support to some degree the request, especially if it is getting them back on their feet. Certainly, I would not support anything close to the $50,000. I did want to mention, and I hope it's not premature, but looking at the whole list, because I know that we've exceeded, or we potentially are exceeding the $120,000 goal, is that I would have reduced the Port Alberni Victim Services to $30,000 and the West Coast Aquatics to $2,000, which would potentially free up some additional money to give to the Alberni Chamber of Commerce. But that's just my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Roth.
What about if we put towards the $17,000 that's remaining in the budget? I think it was just a little bit higher than 17,000.
Okay, well, there was some that was kind of iffy, so we can go back and go through the list if we want, and then whatever's left we can give the chamber. Does that work for everyone? Director Roth.
I don't like the way this is working. It seems like we're favoring the chamber. Like it doesn't seem fair for some reason.
Director Beckett, did you have your hand up?
I did. Sure. Let me speak to that. I'm absolutely in favor of giving them 17,000. I don't think it's favoring them. I think it's some directors are taking a position and that they believe that there's value and it's important to continue to support them. I think that's the position that I'm taking. So I'm absolutely okay with going with $17,000, and if we can find another $3 or $4 or $5,000 as we continue the discussion, now that we've gone through the list, it could go to them as well, or it could go to someone else on the list. But those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Director Boyko.
Thank you, Chair. My main concern is we keep saying chamber, chamber, chamber. This is for tourism. So I know that the chamber operates a tourism center and the money will eventually go to the chamber, but what happens next year when the chamber has nothing to do with the tourism center? They've already given up the contract. So what's the plan then?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Okay, so the money is going for tourism center, right? Tourism center operations. But we keep saying the money is going to the chamber. So which one is it going to? For tourism, but the chamber operates it, or is it going to the chamber because they don't get enough membership money from how they're supposed to operate?
The money is going towards the Visitor Information Center.
Okay, so let's just make sure we're saying that very clearly, because it's very confusing for everybody how we're doing this, because the Chamber of Commerce is supposed to be fundamentally sponsored by its membership of businesses. Thank you.
And that is correct. But the businesses do not fund the visitor center. It has typically been funded by the city and other grants that they receive. Director Rock.
On their application, they've asked us to cover a portion of their shared overhead for the whole organization.
I think the shared overhead means because the visitor center and the Chamber of Commerce are located in the same spot.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. I think things are changing and we need to change with it. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments from committee members? Director Sparrow.
So is it the will of the board to stay at 17,000 for the visit center, or is it the will of the board to up it and remove something else somewhere else? That's the question.
Whatever is the will of the committee. Director Roth.
I'm in favor of the 17,000. Thanks.
Director Cote.
Thank you. I'd like a recap at this point to see where we're at, because some of those allocations were not specific enough. Thanks.
If you like, I can bring up the spreadsheet on the screen.
That would be awesome. I was going to ask you to do that. Thank you.
Okay, so column E is the amounts that folks applied for, and hang on. The blue column is what you have discussed. And I'm just going to have to move the other screen. Hang on. So I haven't put in an amount for the Chamber of Commerce yet.
Heather, do we need to do a resolution for each one then? Yes. Okay. So now we have totals in place. Do you want to just start at the top, and then if there's any further discussion and then someone would start making motions? Does that work for the committee members? Director Roth?
Yeah, it's kind of funny how we did this one. It seems like it was done just because of the Chamber of Commerce.
Not sure what you mean by that or what you're applying, but that's exactly how we did it last year as well.
I don't think so. We went one by one.
That's what we did this year too, one by one.
Yeah, but we decided after each one at that time. We didn't wait till the end.
I think we did it the same way. Okay, we'll start from the top. PA Picklers, we're asking for 40,000. We have $7,500. Is there any comments or does somebody want to make a motion? Director Roth.
I would like to make the motion for them to receive the $7,500.
Okay, so now I have people online. I can see you now. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor for $7,500. Is there a seconder? Moved by Director Ross, seconded by Director Cote. Any questions or comments? All in favor of the motion? Any opposed? Oh, sorry, Director Sparrow.
I was gonna do an alternate amount of lower, but if you guys want to vote on it, then I was gonna say 2,500, but there's a motion on the floor of 75, so we have to wait.
Okay, so there is a motion on the floor that's been moved and seconded. All in favor? So 3 voted for it, 4 voted for it. Any opposed? Motion is carried. AV Security Society, they have asked for $7,800 and we've put down the full amount. Is there any questions or comments? Director Roth.
I would like to move that and award and grant me the amount of, what was it, $7,800 in 2026 to the AV Food Security Society.
Moved by Director Roth. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Director Sparrow. Is there any questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. Motion is carried. West Coast Community Learning Hub. They've asked for $5,000 and the amount is 2,500. Director Roth.
Sorry, I'd like to move that the Alberni Valley and Bamfield Services Committee recommend that the ACRD Board of Directors award a grant and aid in the amount of $2,500 in 2026 to the West Coast Community Learning Hub.
Moved by Director Roth. Is there a seconder? Are you seconding that, Director? Oh, there you go. You're waving your hand. Perfect. Now I can see you. Any final discussion on this one? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Next is Canadian Council of the Blind. They've asked for 3,000.
Missed the backpack.
Oh, did I? Sorry. Port Alberni Backpack Program Society. They've asked for $7,500 and we have the full amount in there to award them. Director Cote.
Move the recommended amount of 7,500.
Moved by Director Cote, second by Director Roth. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Canadian Council of the Blind, $3,000, and there's $1,500 on the board. Director Roth.
I would like to move that the grant and aid in the amount of $1,500 in 2026 to the Canadian Council of the Blind.
Moved by Director Roth. Did we have a seconder? Seconded by Director Cote. Any questions or comments? All in favor of the motion? Any opposed? The motion is carried. Port Alberni Victim Services Society. They've asked for $36,000 and we have the full amount up there. Director Roth.
I would like to move that the Alberni Valley and Bamfield Services Committee recommend that the ACRD Board of Directors award a grant aid in the amount of $36,000 in 2026 to the Port Alberni Victim Services Society.
Moved by Director Roth. Are you seconding this, Director Beckett, or do you have a question?
I have a comment.
Please go ahead.
As I mentioned earlier, and this, I'll just come straight to it. I think the last year we gave them 26. I don't have that in front of me, but I believe it was $26,000. That's a significant increase in jump, especially when I think it's partly downloading by the province. So, I certainly respect Director Ross' motion and amount, but my thought was to reduce it to $30,000, and I'm not even concerned about or implying that it should go to the Alberni Valley Chamber. I'm not worried about saying that anymore. I'm just saying that I would reduce it to 30. That's my thoughts. Thank you.
Director Roth.
Can we confirm, like I can't find it in my package instantly, but is this not for wages and benefits? Does anyone know what page number it is? 63? Okay, one sec here. Because that's something that's, pretty clear cut. 64?
It's to
Oh, okay.
it's to fund a staff member for 25 hours a week.
Okay. I'm very familiar with this program, not only community-based, but the victim services, but also the police-based victim services. And definitely there's a growing need in Port Alberni. I just want to support them because they do such a good job.
Director Boyko.
I'll support the amendment from Director Beckett. Thank you.
Cynthia, I'm not sure of the process here. We have a motion on the floor, but it hasn't been seconded.
Yes, it hasn't been seconded yet, so you would need a seconder and then you would need to go back and make the amendment.
I'll second it.
Or if it,
Okay, so am I voting on the amendment now? Okay. All in favor of the amendment, changing the amount to
so now you have the original resolution for 36,000, which was moved and seconded, but now you need a mover and seconder for the amendment.
I didn't think the motion was seconded.
No, it wasn't.
Oh,
Well,
was it?
no,
Okay, I thought he was seconding the amendment. He was seconding the amendment for the new
I'll second
amount.
the original motion and I'll put forward the amendment.
Okay. So now I'm voting on the amendment, correct? Okay. All in favor of the amendment of $30,000 for the Port Alberni Victim Society, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Motion is carried. Now on the motion to approve Port Alberni Victim Services Society in the amount of $30,000. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. West Coast Aquatic.
so you did ask to make note of that, and I'm wondering if you'd like to make it a resolution. And I have one drafted for lobbying at UBCM. So it would be that the Alberni Valley and Bamfield Services Committee recommend that the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors lobby the Ministry of Public Safety and Solicitor General for improved funding for BC Victim Services at the Union of BC Municipalities Annual General Meeting and Convention.
Thank you, Cynthia. Would you like to make that motion, Director Cote?
I would like to make that motion.
And are you raising a hand to be a seconder? Thank you so much. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. That's a great idea, Director Cote. Please go ahead.
I believe, going down this road, it has been done before, but I think that we need to bring this back to the province. And I think there's a lot of information that we've got, that could be provided from the, health network, the AV Health Network, on statistics as to, the need that we have in the Alberni Valley and the ACRD. Thank you.
Thank you. Have we ever talked to directly the Minister of Safety about this? I can't think of a time that we did, because I think it's a good idea to make that motion, request a meeting.
I think we have, but it was many years ago. I'm sure that Director Kokura could have reminded us.
So certainly time to revisit it anyway. Okay, so next on the motion is West Coast Aquatic. They asked for $10,000 and the amount is 0. Director Roth.
I think the amount was 10,000. And I'd like to move that the Alberni Valley and Bamfield Services Committee recommend that the ACRD Board of Directors award a grant aid in the amount of $10,000 in 2026 to the West Coast Native Healthcare Society.
We're on West Coast Aquatic.
Sorry, my fault. I apologize. 0.
Thank you. Motion by Director Roth. Do we have a seconder? West Coast Aquatic. Do not give them anything.
If you're not awarding funding, you don't have to pass a resolution.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Okay, now West Coast Native Healthcare Society. Please go ahead, Director Roth.
Just what I said before. Please note that I'd like to move that the Alberni Valley and Bamfield Services Committee recommend that the ACRD Board of Directors award a grant aid in the amount of $10,000 in 2026 to the West Coast Native Healthcare Society.
Moved by Director Ross, seconded by Director Cote. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Central Vancouver Island. They have asked for $7,500 and we have down $2,500. Any comments, or does anyone like to make a motion? Director Roth?
Personally, I would like them to get the full amount. Is anybody okay with moving it up a bit? They were asking 7,500, maybe 50%.
Director Cote?
Thank you. I think that we recommended 2,500. I think that's enough for seed money. And because I don't see that this program is ready, shovel ready, in my opinion. I think that I believe in Big Brothers and Big Sisters, but having someone come from down island to provide this supporting that is not my favorable way to go about this. I think we need to find somebody here that would spearhead this from our own community rather than importing it in from another community. So I would support the 2,500 as seed money. Thanks.
I agree. I think it's a great organization, but just from what I've read, maybe there's more information, but I feel that we'd be just paying travel costs for somebody to come in from out of town. But it sounds like a great program. Dr. Sparrow, you had your hand up?
I just say the same thing. It's a great program, but we're paying travel costs. We look at $2,500 in travel costs alone. So if we can spearhead it in town and get somebody interested in town, then we'll look at it stronger and harder. But right now, we're paying for something we shouldn't be paying for. Yes. I'll support 2,500.
Are you making that a motion?
Did you not make one already? That's your main motion. Oh, okay. All right. The Alberni Valley Bamfield Society Committee recommends that the Alberni Board of Directors awarding grant aid the amount of $2,500 in 2026 to the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Central Vancouver Island.
Moved by Director Sparrow, second by Director Roth. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Next is the Port Alberni Black Sheep Rugby Union Football Club. They've asked for $10,000 $35.20, and we have $5,000 down. Any comments, or does anyone like to make a motion? Director Roth?
This is another one that I'm hoping we can raise a little. They do a lot for the community, and they also work hard to get money. Like, has anybody bought chicken from them, and things like that? They really do. So I really would like to bump it up, even $2,500 more, if that's okay. So I would like to move that the Alberni Valley and Bamfield Services Committee recommend that the ACRD Board of Directors award a grant in aid in the amount of $7,500 in 2026 to the Port Alberni Black Sheep Rugby Union Football Club.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Director Boyko. Director Cote?
Thank you. Looking back at their budget, they've only got $1,000 down as youth rugby program. And actual January 2026, it was 3,421. So that's greatly exceeding what's in the budget. So I'm not in favor of upping this more than 5,000 at this time. Thanks.
Director Sparrow?
I will double down on what Director Kodak said. Yes, it's more than what's in the budget form. I do support the youth organizations, but I can't do this about before this motion came.
Okay, any final questions or comments? We have a motion on the floor to give them $7,500. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is defeated. Director Cote?
So I'll change the amount to 5,000 for this. I'm not going to read the whole thing. For recommended for the request from the rugby organization. I get through rugby in schools program.
Thank you. Moved by,
Alberni Black Sheep.
moved by Director Cote for $5,000 for the Black Sheep Rugby Club. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Director Beckett. Any final questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Port Alberni Salmon Festival Society, they've asked for $6,500, and we have $6,500 on the board. Director Roth?
I'd like to move that the Alberni Valley and Bamfield Services Committee recommend that the ACRD Board of Directors award a grant and aid in the amount of $6,500 in 2026 to Port Alberni Salmon Festival Society.
Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Director Cote. Any final questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Spirit Square Farmers Market Association for $700, and we have $700 on the board. Director Roth?
I would like to move that the Alberni Valley and Bamfield Services Committee recommend that the ACRD Board of Directors award a grant and aid in the amount of $700 in 2026 to the Spirit Square Farmers Market Association.
Moved by Director Ross, second by Director Cote. Any final questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. ADAPS Youth and Family Services, they've asked for $10,500, and we have $10,500 on the floor. Director Roth?
I would like to move that the Alberni Valley and Bamfield Services Committee recommend that the ACRD Board of Directors award a grant and aid in the amount of $10,500 in 2026 to ADAPS Youth and Family Services.
Moved by Director Ross, second by Director Cote. Any final questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Port Alberni Marine Rescue Society, and they've requested $5,000, and we have $5,000 on the floor. Director Roth?
I'd like to move that the Alberni Valley and Bamfield Services Committee recommend that the ACRD Board of Directors award a grant and aid in the amount of $5,000 in 2026 to Port Alberni Marine Rescue Society.
Moved by Director Cote, or moved by Director Ross, second by Director Cote. Any final questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. So next we have Alberni Valley Chamber of Commerce. So what is the balance remaining, Heather?
23,360.
So I'll change that to Alberta Valley Info Center. Have requested $50,000. We have $23,360 left in the budget. Would anyone like to make a motion? Director Sparrow.
Thank you. I make a motion that the remainder of this amount go towards the Alberni Valley Tourist Information Center.
Would anyone like to second?
Just for formality, wasn't the application made under the Chamber of Commerce? That might be a problem.
I just changed it because Director Boyko said we shouldn't be saying the chamber, it should be the info center.
But the motion needs to be right.
Please go ahead.
I will amend it to the Alberni Valley Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you. And you're okay with that, Director Cote, with that change? Okay. Any other questions or comments? Director Cote.
Thank you. Last year there was some money left over for different areas, and I'm wondering if there's going to be that happening again this year. Grant and aid money.
Again, that's your decision, the board's decision. So each committee is going to make recommendations. But I can't predict if there's going to be leftover.
So we'll have another meeting with the committee of the whole, I gather, for grant and aids.
In a couple of weeks' time, you have regional grant and aids at the committee of the whole meeting.
Okay.
And then if there's any grant and aid applications received for specific electoral areas, those will be shared directly with the director for that electoral area. And then the West Coast Committee grant and aids will be going to the West Coast Committee.
Okay. So there's different budgets. So this one is complete now, and there'll be no money left in it.
If this last motion is adopted, yeah.
Okay, and then this goes to the board for recommendation. So there's still okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion do we have a seconder? Moved by Director Sparrow, second by Director Cote. Any final questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thanks, everyone. That was difficult conversations, but we managed to get through it. And I think we made some organizations happy, and some may not be so happy, but we did our best with the money that we had. So thank you so much, everyone. Jenny has requested a 5-minute break so they can get ready for their presentation. So we'll take a 5-minute break. We'll see you back at 11:33. Thank you. Okay, our 5-minute break is just about over. If you get everybody to sit down. Director Sparrow. Daniel and Penny. We want to get going on the next exciting presentation. Next on the agenda is the 2025 Alberni Valley Landfill Sort and Go Center Annual Report. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you. I'm Tanya Crothers, Solid Waste Manager for ICRD. I'm going to just pop it up and share it on the screen. Right. So this first slide is the Alberni Valley Waste Disposal chart. And it's kind of cool because it shows how garbage flows through the waste disposal and waste recovery systems in Alberni Valley. It shows the makeup of garbage in Alberni Valley, and also compares the amount of trash in each category to 2024. So we're not going to go through all of it, but I encourage you to look at it on your own to get takeaways from it. But a few key ones that I notice is the total waste generated in Alberni Valley went up 3% compared to 2024. Bamfield recycling went up 32%, which matches what we're seeing and hearing, which is that there's a lot. Is it you? Okay. Okay. Bamfield is seeing huge amounts of recycling coming through it. It increased by 32% compared to 2024. Use of stewardship programs increased by 37%, which is huge. It means awareness of these programs is probably growing. And construction and demolition materials increased by 9% compared to 2024. So this is the solid waste generation waste disposal rate. It's an estimate of how many kilograms of solid waste a resident sends to the landfill or other disposal site in a given year. The waste disposal rate for Alberni Valley is 543.30 kilograms per person. And that puts us about midway on that ranked list of BC regional districts. About 10 years ago in 2016, our disposal rate was 681 kilograms per capita, and we were toward the bottom of that list. So we've come quite a ways. And as you can see, we still have a ways to go. Implementation of the organics program in 2021 played a huge role in reducing waste disposal, and pushing reuse and diversion programs will be key to continue reducing waste disposal. So waste diversion, of the 22,476 tons of waste generated in Alberni Valley in 2025, 15,232 tons went to the landfill and 7,244 tons were diverted from the landfill through recycling and recycling programs, which gave us a waste diversion rate of 32% in 2025. 10 years ago, our diversion rate was 11%. The goal is 50%. So again, we still have a little ways to go, but we've also made a lot of progress through our programs, and organics made a pretty solid impact in the improved diversion rate. This slide illustrates a visual of what the City of Port Alberni curbside collection program looked like under a two-stream program with the pie chart on the left. And then it also shows the three-stream model on the right. And you can see that with the three-stream program, curbside is reaching the 50% target rate with implementation of that three-stream program. Some 2025 landfill stats presenting to you in 2026. So there are 905,647.42 tons of waste in place at Alberni Valley Landfill. There's about 2.1 million cubic meters of space left, which if we reach the landfill capacity will bring us a lifespan to 2094 for landfill life. Airspace utilization is about half of a ton in a cubic meter, or 487 kilograms per cubic meter, which our goal is 660 kilograms per meter cubed. So we have a ways to go, and we're going to keep working with our landfill operator to reach our target and explore best practices and innovative ways to improve our compaction rates. And also we're going to keep encouraging reuse and diversion programs. So this is a slide that sort of goes over finances for the landfill. There were decreased operating costs in 2025 and significantly higher revenues than prior typical years, especially 24, that resulted in a higher than typical reserve fund allocation. Financial contributions for capital and closure post-closure was 702,537, with interest earnings totaling 434,979. At the end of 25, the closure and post-closure reserve balance was about 3.7 million, and the capital balance was about 8.3 million, for a combined total reserve of about $12 million. So this slide is just an illustration of our environmental monitoring program, and it's just showing you that we have a leachate collection system that is comprised of internal drains, pumping systems, collection trenches, and aeration lagoon and flow equalization pond. Once it's collected, it's piped directly to the City of Port Alberni wastewater facility for treatment. And the system is really important because it protects human health and the environment by preventing leachate from impacting off-site natural groundwater and surface waters. The next slide is sort of a slide that shows how the monitoring has gone for the last 26 years, since 2000. We've been monitoring these certain parameters: ammonia, chloride, total dissolved solids, and nitrates since 1994. You can see there's these sort of spikes. Those are typically off-season, low-flow seasonal spikes. In 2025, it was determined that the levels of indicator parameters within the leachate from AVL are normal for a landfill of this size and age. There were no red flags that indicated anything wonky was going on. And so we also test groundwater quality, and overall, again, the indicators show that the groundwater levels of ammonia, chloride, total dissolved solids, and nitrates are typical for a landfill of the size and age of AVL. The only item of note was there was a slight effect in the northern portion of the site at the northern boundary, but it's controlled by a trench and pumping system and nothing gets off-site. And we confirmed that by testing some off-site wells, 6 of them in 2025, and there was no indication of leachate effects. Same with surface water quality. We pull samples from creeks in the area, and we didn't find any indicators of leachate effects. So essentially the leachate system is sound, and we're managing it well, and it's doing its job. The environmental monitoring did have some recommendations, including continuing the program and following recommendations for adjustments to sampling locations, frequencies, parameters, just being flexible with where and when we sample, replacing certain well components that we need to investigate and look closer at, and then Another item that I want to flag is the SCADA system, which lets us monitor the leachate wells in real time, and monitor the pump stations and ensure compliance in real time from a sort of a remote computer. That system is was installed. It's a IRL system, and the software and hardware components are no longer being made because the company went out of business. So we have enough components to keep it going for now, but we're going to have to look at replacement. And it's a really important system to just make sure that the leachate is being managed properly. So for landfill gas, the estimated landfill gas production in 2025 was 826.6 tons of methane. This is less than the 1,000 methane ton threshold set by MOEP, above which landfill gas management system would need to be installed. It's more than the 664 ton threshold that was set by Environment and Climate Change Canada in 2025, above which we would have to install a gas recovery system. Our preference is to avoid having to install a gas recovery system. So while we are over the 664 threshold right now, we want to evaluate how we could bring our current 826 tons of methane down to below that threshold, because the methane system, the methane management systems are super expensive to install, and then you have to report on them, upkeep them, maintain them. And we still have some organics that we could consider figuring out how to divert through the commercial sector. So we're going to be looking closer at that in the coming while. So the landfill operations, we checked on feedback and received the same sort of feedback as we got in 2024. The price of disposing mattresses is too high. Cardboard's hard to flatten and put in the bins that are available. Some feel the price for bag garbage is too high. But one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we receive is that customers are happy with the clean facility and the garbage disposal and diversion options. So that's kind of a feather in our cap. So projects completed in 25. These are sort of described in detail in the report, but so I'll just go through the list and we can jump back to any at the end that you want to dive into, if any. I think everyone's mostly familiar with these, but they're up here. So in 25, we worked a lot with the landfill working group with our partners over at Shot. We worked on the solid waste management plan, just keeping up with the folks who help us to brainstorm and around it. We worked with the working group, how to check in with them. And then we've been really focusing on some of the background documents that are going to inform some of the choices associated with that plan. We did an educator contractor procurement, awarded that contract to Let's Talk Trash. We did an annual aerial survey to figure out airspace utilization. We're constantly evaluating airspace consumption. We completed the organic self-haul pilot program. We actually rolled it out. It's still going till May 20th. Gypsum tipping fee increase, and then we already talked about the water monitoring. Projects on the horizon, 2026 and beyond. We are looking at the AV Sort and Go Center, continuing with the landfill working group. We're going to be looking at commercial organics diversion, which we already talked about, especially as it pertains to the methane gases. Alternate siting study, we're supporting Sishat as they look at opportunities to open landfills at different locations. We're going to be looking and paying attention to the landfill methane regs. We're working with Synergy Foundation on construction and demolition waste, which, as I mentioned, had a 9% increase this year. Recycling program evaluations, waste composition data. We're doing waste audits this year. We've already gone out to RFP for that. We're continuing the water monitoring. We need to look at SCADA optimization, which I already talked about. We're going to continue looking at daily cover and airspace consumption evaluations, looking at capital infrastructure projects and moving forward on the ones that are needed most. We're going to be looking at cost recovery and program efficiencies, as we always do, and also looking at bear aware and wildlife interactions. And that concludes my report. I'd love to take questions or comments.
Thank you very much, Tanya. I do, do you want to go ahead, Director Roth? Because I had a couple of questions as well. Please go ahead.
Sure, thank you. I was just going to ask from a staff perspective, what's the single most important decision that the board will need to make about the landfill in the next 5 years?
Oh, I think that the commercial organics is going to be a big one. We had a huge reduction in so many areas of the program and impacts to the program from commercial organics, and we just really need to be considering how we can keep increasing diversion and decreasing waste generation and coming in under that methane threshold. So that's going to be a huge one to think about. It's big impact and like big program changes.
Thank you, great answer.
Thanks.
Dr. Sparrow.
Thank you. I had a bunch of questions, but your last slide took most of them away because you're supposed to doing that.
Mhm.
So my question I have, what is going to be cheaper? Getting commercial diversion or putting in a methane system?
So we are the methane system concept. These regs just got released in 25, so it's pretty new. But rough ballpark, we're thinking install might be in the realm of 2 million. And I'm going to look at that closer and come up with an updated number, but just the install is going to be expensive. And then once you enter that realm, you have to upkeep, maintain, and you have to have consultants on board, and there's regulatory reporting. So I want to imagine that it's probably less expensive just to be sustainable and keep it under that threshold at 664.
So then the follow-up would be the commercial industrial waste. We have to find a way of putting them in the financial well-being to be able to reduce their amount. So all be paying for that one area.
Yeah, and we will be looking into that and coming forth with thoughts and ideas.
Thank you. Director Boyko, please go ahead.
Thank you. Just to stay with the theme of commercial diversion, waste and stuff, why would the taxpayers be paying for that? That would be up to the individual owners of the commercial, industrial, residential complexes, would it not be? I got 3 more questions.
Yeah, I'll jump in on that one. It's a really good question. So you're right. One of the ways we can do this is simply by banning the organics in the landfill, and then the onus goes on to the commercial hauler. However, we want to support people with that. So we need to do a phased rollout, do some education, but really the cost will not be borne by us. And there's a huge amount of savings. So I really appreciate that Tanya highlighted that. I think that is a big win for us.
So we're spending about $90,000 on education on organics right now with a consultant. Are they spending any time with commercial residences, or commercial restaurants, industrial clients, any of that, or is it all focused on residential awareness right now?
So the contract was designed to focus on residential and existing programs, but as I recall from that meeting where we approved that contract, you'd asked that we look at spending some of the miscellaneous monies towards some initial sort of effort in the commercial waste realm. And so we are going to be looking at that. We have not figured that out quite yet.
Okay, because I think we'll get our biggest bang for the buck there. Thank you. Okay, next question. Can you go back to the leachate slide where you have the percentages in there for the concentrations? Okay, so you got 2 axes here. You got one on the left and one on the right. It would be good to see which lines are on which axes, because right now you can't tell anything on this graph of what you want to try and find ammonia concentration. It's on the left to the right. So let's just be a little bit more specific so we can actually use this data for something. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
I think you're commenting that the axis on the right, it doesn't have a label on it, so you're not sure what that's telling you.
You're not sure if
Is that it?
nitrate is on the left axis or the right axis or any of the other ones. Like this graph is not useful for anything until you tell ammonia is on the left axis, chloride is on the right. Because you've got 2 different scales going.
Okay, I'm seeing concentration on the left axis.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like you got numbers on the left,
Timestamp.
and what's on the right then? You got 0 to 70.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So are those numbers valid, or do they mean anything, or should we take them away and reduce confusion?
I can go in and update it. I'm honestly not sure just by staring at it from here. I would have to go in and check.
Perfect. Next question. We go to landfill gas. How are we actually monitoring that? Is that just with test wells, taking some samples and modeling it, or are we doing anything more than that now?
I heard the question that you're asking how we're monitoring landfill gas. So for the regulations, we hire an engineer who then does a calculation. So it's based on what we put into the landfill, and they have a formula that they use that predicts what the landfill gas is. This is problematic because it's not actual gas production. And we will be working on looking at like a 5/10 year model and potentially doing more actual monitoring if required. Because the implications are significant. But we do have a little bit of time before the new regulations come into effect in 2035. Yeah, so we have 10 years. So, but it's been flagged and we'll be addressing it.
Okay, so the way that we're getting this number is we have people dig through garbage at different points and figure out this is a certain percentage of organics, and we have a total weight, and that's how we're figuring it out, right?
That's correct, because each has sort of a decomposition arc. And so we can, in theory, know how much methane is getting produced.
Perfect. Final question. Organics diversion project, which was kind of controversial last year on what the uptake would be. How many people have used it, and how many people per electoral area and the city? Thank you.
I know that the total is 23 total folks who used it. I know that of those 23, only 2 completed their 15 punch pass cards. So we're currently going back in to try to get more information from them by offering the half yard of compost in exchange for completing the survey. As far as which electoral areas they're coming from, I don't have the data in front of me, but I could certainly grab it.
It'd be good to pass that around, because if we're putting money into something and we're having very little uptake, it'd be good to figure out if we want to continue on with this project or say thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Thanks for all the questions. Thanks.
One last comment on that. We are going to be we're going to be grabbing the analytics and doing an update on the whole program come August.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions, if I may, Tanya. I believe I read this statement, but I can't find it, so please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember properly. But I read that 50% of materials currently going into the landfill are materials that can be diverted. So we need some suggestions either from staff or the working group or both of you on how we can increase that diversion rate. Because I saw that number and wow, I thought we were doing much better than that.
Yeah, we are doing waste audits this year. We've already gone to RFP for them. And so hopefully soon we're going to be diving into the trash quite literally and figuring out what's coming from where. And that's going to help us drive program decisions, including ways that we can get diversion rates down. What is the thing that's causing the problem? And then from there, we'll figure out how we can address it.
Great, thank you. And my next question is, the city is increasing its multifamily dwellings by a significant amount because that's just people just can't afford to build single family homes anymore, and this will give people housing. But with that comes, we don't have a real recycling program, how people can divert their trash for apartments. So, and I did ask staff at the last quarterly meeting when they give their quarterly reports, and they said, well, that comes out of a different funding pocket. So we really need to get together. The city needs to work with the ACRD and come up with ways and ideas on how we can get multifamily dwellings to divert their waste. And I don't know the answer to that, but I think that's something we need to work on. Thank you. Thank you. Did you have your hand up, Director Roth? Oh, Director Boyko, did you have another question?
No, I'm good. I'll lower my hand.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Director Cote.
Thank you. In this report, near to the end, there's information regarding the SCADA data, and saying that it wasn't working because of the elements. It was deteriorating. Have we replaced that?
Yeah, we had a complete analysis done in December-ish of 25, and we're working with them right now to update everything.
Okay, because looking at all of the PIDO Association graphs, the leachate monitoring program, there's a lot of comments that it says there's inaccuracies, something with switch, maybe, and I'm just wondering how we're dealing with that so that we've got the proper data that we need.
Yeah, that's a good observation. There were definitely periods where the maintenance was troublesome last year, but toward the end of the year, we did sort of an all-inclusive analysis of the system, and so everything's sort of being updated right now. We just had Fife out there the other day doing some in-person inspections, and we're getting recommendations on both how to keep it going and maintenance it so that we don't have these ongoing problems with the existing components. And also we're trying to understand what needs to be done to replace the whole thing.
So will we have a cost estimate on that? Because it sounds to me like that could be a very high budget item. And I don't believe we have anything in the budget for this year to address that, but we need to be able to understand what's going on there.
Yes, we do have a plan to get I've already asked for the cost analysis on what that would cost. I also asked if we could do it in a phased approach, but the answer is no, because it's mismatched technology. So more to come on it for sure.
Thank you. Is there any other questions or comments? Thank you. Great report.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Could I have a motion that the Alberni Valley and Bamfield Services Committee receives the support? Moved by Director Ross, second by Director Sparrow. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. No late items and question period. There's no one here in the gallery. Is there any questions online, Cynthia?
No one online.
Thank you. Could I motion to adjourn, please? Moved by Director Ross, second by Director Sparrow. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Thanks very much, everyone, for a great meeting.
Thanks, guys. Have yourself a great day.